Hi, this is John Ondo from Marketing, Media, and Cupcakes. And before we get into today's episode, I just want to say thank you so much for listening. We're back after being gone for over 4.5 years. And I hope you get a chance to listen to episode 77, where we explain why we were gone for so long and that we're back for at least 3 more episodes. Angel and I are big supporters of entrepreneurship, and we love small businesses and faith-based businesses. And we just want to encourage you through our podcast each week. What's going to determine if we continue with more episodes will be the response. Subscribe to us on your platform. Send us an email at john@ondomedia.com. That would help us know you're listening and you want more episodes. So thank you so much, and let's get into today's episode.
This is the small business podcast that is sweeter than all the rest. Marketing, media, and cupcakes.
Welcome to Marketing, Media, and Cupcakes. I'm John Ondo. I'm a filmmaker and a media influencer. Along with me is my beautiful wife, Angel.
Hi there.
She is a customer experience expert, and she is also a fabulous baker of cupcakes, cakes, and all things of a baking nature.
Yes.
And it is the holiday season, and
it is.
From our family to yours, we hope you're having a great one during the dumpster fire year of 2020. And one of the things we're going to talk about several things today. We're going to get into, something very helpful. We're a little lighter, kind of lighter topics today. One of the things you're going to talk about is what happens when I come home. Well, I actually work from home, but what happens when I come upstairs and say, oh, there's a party tonight and we need to bring something, and you need to dazzle up some kind of quick, little cellophane wrap plate of treats.
I have 3 things that should be relatively easy that I think most people would have these things in their pantry or in their refrigerator that they could throw something together.
And then we're going to talk about one of the things I'm passionate about, we haven't talked about in a long time, is documentaries. I love documentaries. I've watched several this week, but what we're going to talk about, I'm going to give you a list of my 5 personal favorites and why I love them. And if you're a media expert, or you're a marketing person or whatever, this will also give you some insight into things I look for in storytelling for media. But first, this is the thing we want to get into a little bit. As small business owners, we knew this was coming this Christmas.
I think to the degree, is what they weren't expecting.
Well,
and they're saying it's because, they have cases of COVID.
The shipping has caused a tremendous problem with small businesses, because if you need your widgets and so forth to make your small business run and you can't get them, that's a problem. I know we are actually speaking to you from our new studio, which sounds very elaborate, but really it's 20 feet from the old studio. We just moved rooms. And I had some acoustical installation I needed. Normally, this stuff I can get in a couple of days. It took 4 days for them just to ship it, and it's COVID, I'm sure. And then I was speaking with our lovely. She's not an optometrist. What is she? Whatever the eye doctor is, I should know that.
I think isn't that an optometrist?
I guess it is an optometrist. I was thinking it was a different name, but anyway, I was speaking to her today, and they had an amazing process. You got a text when you arrive, and then once they want you in the building, they text you to come in, please, and so you're not waiting in the waiting room, and they run the temperature check, and then, I was in and out of there in a half hour. It was phenomenal, but she was telling me while I was burning her time up about, she had a guy the day before. She's hired some new people, but she had a patient come in, had to wait 45 minutes because I'm sure there was delays with somebody else or something going on, and he was just infuriated and upset, and I'm like, well, normally you'll wait 45 minutes most times at a doctor, so I don't know what you thought you were going to get yesterday, but she is like, at times you just wonder why I do this, and, I think those of us who are in small businesses, we're very frustrated right now. You're either frustrated maybe at a supplier, a shipping person, or your customer for being a jerk, and so everybody is doing everything they can, and if you are listening and you're not a small business owner, when I look at these restaurants and again, I was talking to our eye doctor, and it's like they change the rules on her every day here in the state of Ohio. It's constant. You don't know when you wake up if I can do business today. Yeah. So it's a real. Again, my hearts go out to the restaurants and the bars and everybody else, and we just want to say, as we always say, we are here for you at our podcast. We want to be here to help you and encourage you. And the thing I will always say is, don't give up the dream. if this restaurant you have is a dream, or this like our son's shirt business, this is your dream. Don't give up on it. It's going to get better. You do have to adapt, but please, if you're a business owner, don't give up your dream.
I think what people forget is they kind of forget themselves when they're in these positions, and they get to a level of frustration, and they think the individual that they're yelling at or talking to somehow is the one who caused the problem.
Right.
And they are not the one who caused the problem. They're hopefully, if they're good at their job, they're trying to solve the problem. But you walking into a post office now, screaming and yelling about something not showing up, or you, God forbid, waiting for your postman outside your house, for a package, they're doing the best they can. Yeah. And I know, it's just, let's remember the time of year that it is, the type of year we've had, and just attempt to be kind. Put yourself in their shoes. Remember, before you speak, before you raise your voice, just like you have a job to do, they also have a job to do.
Let me ask you this, though, and this kind of goes off our last episode, the 7 things you shouldn't say in like a phone conversation, customer service. What do you recommend for the business owners listening? They get that hot call. Hey, I needed this for Christmas. I needed this for January 1, and you're telling me now it's not going to be there. And it's of no fault of your own. You're expecting shirts to come in. They didn't come in. You can't make the shirts that you need. How do you respond? How do you put out that fire when a customer is like, you told me I could get it by Christmas, and now you can't?
Well, the hope would be that you never told somebody that.
Yeah.
Because I think that is usually your kiss of death right there, is when you promise something you absolutely cannot guarantee.
Yes.
If you yourself are not the one shipping it, if you're not using a guaranteed shipper like a FedEx or a UPS or a DHL
Can
or
they
whatever.
even guarantee though right now? I mean,
if you do their premium shipping, yes, they will. And they can compensate you. You can file claims to get your money back, and so on and so forth. Again, it's when you're doing standard U.S. mail, even if they allow you to have a tracking number, even if you do it premium, it's still, when you've seen the backlogs, when you've seen the images of these distribution centers. I ordered something from BarkBox for my grand puppy, and I got a notification that it was in Kentucky, and that was on December 7th.
I could drive down there and get it in a
and
day.
It is now the 16th, and it's still showing Kentucky.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, eventually it's going to ship. And fortunately, it's for a dog who's not going to know one way or the other. So, the only response you have to these scenarios, back to your original question, is what is it you can do? You can apologize, which unfortunately, that's the best you can do. If there's something, depending on the type of business you have, whether that's offering, some sort of a percentage refund,
or 10% off your next purchase or something like that.
Or if whatever you're shipping or have, that you do have the ability to use some of these premium services and get them something different sent overnight. There's options. It's just unfortunately based on what your business type is or your business model as to how much you can and can't do.
It always goes back to something I know we've talked about in previous podcasts, and if you're a new listener, go back to some of our past 70 plus episodes. But the response is always it's not the response. What's the word?
Recovery.
Yeah. It's the recovery that's the most important thing. Everybody knows that you may get an order wrong at a restaurant, or you may get an order shipped wrong. It happens. It's the recovery. And so I believe in one of the episodes, did you say not to blame? Like, do you say, well, it's not our fault, UPS didn't get it there?
You're better off not pointing fingers at at what truly occurred, because it just makes you look small. It makes you not take ownership of your business. You can state a fact, because it's not, as long as you're not stating it from well, they did this. And it's like, well, you may have heard that, the Postal Service is having an issue right now.
We put it on the truck. It was expected to be there, but it's turned out we're getting notifications now they're going to be behind.
Right now, where there's snow in the
everywhere.
Horrible snow,
yes.
But like in the Northeast, and we have customers saying, "Am I going to get my order? Am I going to get my order?" Because next week is Christmas and we're closed. And I was like, well, you almost want to say, well, sir, look out your window.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to do the best we can to get the product where it needs to go, but there are limitations when it comes to weather, when we have hurricanes, when we have things like that, that there are things that you do have your limits. Even FedEx, UPS, they have their limits. If a plane can't take off because they can't de-ice the plane because it's negative whatever, that stuff's not going to get off the ground.
Well, the one thing I think we encourage everybody with business, and it's the weird world we live in, and it's not because of COVID and the pandemic, but the COVID and the pandemic has exposed the culture.
Yes.
And the culture is, if I am a customer, I don't care if the earth is on fire. I expect it tomorrow. And if you're a business, unfortunately, most of them are like, I'm sorry, the world's on fire. We're not doing business right now. It's two worlds. It's like, I don't want to go to work today because of COVID, but yet I still expect all my packages to show up here. COVID has exposed that we are and I'm sorry, that sounds like a selfish culture. We expect it no matter how risky it is to someone else. But if it's my risk, no, I'm not going into work. So anyway, I think we got to adapt to that. I think that's where we're at in the world now.
We are a society of people that require instant gratification. Mm-hmm. We no longer have patience to wait because that was the standard. First of all, you never, to get something in the mail outside of a letter or a bill was unheard of because the shipping, these places didn't exist, these people didn't exist, to that degree, or the cost was so exorbitant you couldn't. Right. But now in today's world where I can go online if I wanted to right now and tell someone to bring me, ice cream, and 30 minutes later some person shows up with ice cream.
Entertain me now.
Exactly. It's like we have no patience, and everything is so fast. Everything is instantaneous. I want to watch a movie. Well, no, you don't wait for the movie to come out. I've got the movie right now. I'm on some random site and I've got the movie now. So I think we as a society have lost the ability to wait. We have no patience. And so when we've lost the ability to have that, I remember sitting in doctor's offices. Well, hello. When have I ever walked right in? Never. Infinity ever. So the fact that people suddenly think this is going to be different, or the fact that COVID hasn't made it worse, you've lost your marbles.
I think it's going to be real interesting, and I think the take home on this whole conversation is there will be some good things I think that we will develop best practices wise. I thought what they did at the eye doctor day was phenomenal. I loved that I walked in and nobody else was in the lobby, and I had the full attention of the two people that were there. And in my mind, I'm like, you can keep this process after COVID. I would rather sit in my car and get a text.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
And let me know that I can come in, and I got in and out in a half an hour. Yep. And it was because I didn't feel like people were getting sidetracked. So it depends on your experience, but I think the thing that we're saying here for best practices for your business is this is exposed where our culture is, and if there's anything we know at our age, is that you can't change the culture. You have to adapt to it.
Yes.
So if your business is like, I don't want to have this, I don't want to do this, then my suggestion is, well, then you're going to have a problem. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to adapt to the online culture, or maybe change some things. Maybe your business won't be affected at all, but you need to take a good look at the fact that this has exposed some things. And I think this COVID has exposed, I think there's a lot of restaurants that are doing some phenomenal deals because they've learned we can't offer everything, but we can do this and we can do it faster and cheaper. Mm-hmm. Okay, please hang on to that. I want that, and I think there's going to be some changes. So anyway, that's just kind of our end-of-year synopsis of customer service and just changes and suggestions we would make as you look into the next year for best practices and so forth. Where were the weaknesses this year? How can you adapt? And even though there's a vaccine and we are going to be coming out of it soon, there still be maybe some good things about this that you've learned from COVID that you can still make your business better.
And I think part of that is if you don't have a current strategy, if you don't have a current best practice for what to do when these kind of events happen, whether it be the next hurricane, snowstorm, God only knows what other
Toilet paper,
whatever shortage, something. Have one or two things that you have figured out based on your business model that you can do to compensate an upset customer.
Focus on the best.
If you already have it, then you're not making things up on the fly.
Absolutely.
What is it that you can have in your arsenal that says, okay, these are the two things that I know out of the gate. It's minimal cost and it's going to be impactful. Then we have those two things at the ready. But if you're never sitting down and coming up with those ideas, then you're always going to be kind of second guessing, and you're going to end up losing money in the end. So having something already prepared is probably best.
Preparation prevents poor performance. So again, if you're new to our podcast, we like talking about best practices in marketing, media, and with baking cupcakes, and we're going to get to some good cupcake things in a minute. But if you want to check us out on social media, we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, all under Marketing Media Cupcakes. And if you want to email us or look at our website, the website is marketingmediacupcakes.com. You can leave us a voicemail to ask us a question, and we will do the best to at least tell you what we think about that. So I thought it'd be kind of fun. I know it's the holidays and everybody wants to wind down a little bit, so I thought maybe I could talk about my 5 personal favorites of mine for different styles of telling a story, and that's what documentaries are. It's telling a story. The first one's a fairly new one, and you are going to see a theme, because as Angel knows, when she asks me all the time, hey, have you seen this movie? And I'm like, does it have a spaceship? Does it have a car? What's the other thing I always ask
And that's
for?
pretty much it.
That's pretty much it.
Spaceships or cars. That's it.
And I'm sorry, I didn't see that because it didn't have that. Or sometimes some kind of music background thing. So
even then, you're still like, no, I haven't seen that.
So one I really recommend that I really love is Apollo 11. Of course, it is about space and spaceships. What's unique about this?
Now, that was recently came out, right?
2019.
Okay, so this was a recent one.
Back when we could go to the theater and watch it.
Yes.
Now, first of all, if you rent Apollo 11 and it's on Apple and everywhere else, please don't watch it on an iPad. Don't watch it on your iPhone. You need to find a friend who has the THX Dolby surround sound and the biggest 4K TV, because part of what makes this documentary, especially for somebody like me who was a kid when this all kind of happened, is the amazing sound and the amazing restoration they did to the original 35 millimeter film that they did. They took these original films, restored them, they scanned them in 16K, so they're like, obviously 4 times higher resolution scanned in, and that was allowed. So when you see this, especially the first 5 minutes of this film, you're going to sit there and go, this was shot yesterday. It looks like it is actual digital, today's quality film, but it's actually the footage from 1969. They've done some audio restoration and done some things in the mix, but that's the technical part of the film. The real amazing thing is they tell the story. There is no interviews in this film. It kind of threw me because I didn't know how this film was going to be. Everybody can do documentaries in different style. And it's basically narrated from all the TV newscasters, a lot of Walter Cronkite. Good part of that team that did that film were right here in Columbus, Ohio. So when I got to go see it, it was like a lot of Columbus people were there because they were all pumped. So that's a great. You've watched it with me.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, I cannot say before I met John, had ever watched a single documentary. I really can't, other than what I enjoyed in school, which most other people did not enjoy, were the lovely, I call them factory videos that they would show you in science, where they would show something being made, bread in the Wonder Bread factory, or they just show bolts being made. And
American industry is booming in Detroit, Michigan.
Yes, and I loved those. Everyone else was asleep. And those I enjoyed watching.
We were just glad to have something to do with the class. But that was, the old style of documentary was what, for lack of a better word, was a propaganda documentary.
Oh yes.
And I had to say that I've done documentaries that are absolutely propaganda in the sense that they are here to promote a specific thing, and that's the thing I love about documentaries. Versus you can do a documentary that's fair and balanced. You're welcome to, but documentaries are typically the one place in film that if you want to say, hey, there is something here that's not right, or there's something here that's not being a story that's not being told by the mainstream media, this is the place to do it.
Yeah, that's the format for getting that kind of message out.
Absolutely. So and that's one of the reasons I love documentaries. It's about real life. It's about real stories versus film, which is like, we wrote it. It's all made up. The next documentary, you and I watched this together. You really enjoyed it. It's called Sound City.
Yes.
It was a 2013 documentary. It was produced by David Grohl of Foo Fighters.
Yes.
But he was obviously in Nirvana before that.
Which I didn't know that. I loved Nirvana. I loved Teen Spirit. Don't get me started. I'll start singing along. But I didn't realize, and he was so passionate in what he was doing, and the whole studio and the history of the studio.
So what this is,
it was amazing.
It's an interesting, and I love this as a documentary guy. It's a great documentary that you think you're seeing the history about the studio in LA that was a dump, but not all, but most of the big classic records of the 70s, Fleetwood Mac, and up through Nirvana and other bands, cut their stuff there. Even though it's really a movie about a soundboard that did all this stuff and how Grohl bought it and moved it, it really becomes the magic of music and
very much so.
And it's just a great movie. There's a story behind every one of these records that have ever been made. This is a fun one for me. Another documentary, I can't remember if this is on Netflix or not. It's called Chaos on the Bridge. It's a William Shatner documentary about Star Trek: The Next Generation. And before you think, oh, really? No, you got to watch this. I'm an old school Star Trek guy. I like The Next Generation, but I still like the original series quite a bit. And one of the reasons I liked the old show better than The Next Generation was there was a lot of things that were wrong. When The Next Generation came out, I'm like, this is not Star Trek. It gets into this in this documentary about Gene Roddenberry, who created Star Trek, and the changes he had made and how they created this show. It's a fascinating look into behind the scenes of this show and literally the chaos and insanity that was going on when they were producing Star Trek: The Next Generation. Now, one of the things I like about this, and it's something I'm going to be doing more of in future documentaries that I produce, because there's a lot of talk about, well, here's when Patrick Stewart went in to meet with Gene Roddenberry, or they met with the Paramount executives. There's no footage or photos like the Ken Burns style. What they did is they used animation. They used kind of cartoon animation, and a lot of documentaries have adapted that style in the last 2 or 3 years, where instead of using photos or use the same photo of the same guy 1,000 times, or the ones I really hate where they recreate it where it looks like it's a lookalike actor, and I'm like, that's not that person. Mm-hmm. They're using cartoons, and they're really fun. And what's fun is they can go through and actually create even different scenes with it. So that's one of the things I love about that is their use of animation to tell the story with pictures that nobody has access to. So. Sure. That's a really cool one. Another documentary, and this goes on the flip side of Apollo 11, which I said Apollo 11 is this great 4K sound. It's this documentary that's called That Guy Who Was in That Thing. And this documentary is about 16 actors, and every single one of them, you'll look at him and go, hey, I don't know your name, but you're that guy that was in that thing. Mm-hmm. I can't even tell you the names of some of these guys, but
nope.
It's the guy who plays the president in 24. It's the guy who does this, and all of them have done Star Trek episodes. It's the guy who was in a soap opera, and then he's in another. And these guys, yep. They've all been in Law and Order too. And they're telling their stories. The thing that's interesting about this is it looks like in some places it was shot on a VHS camcorder.
Yes, some of the footage is a little bit sketchy.
I'm not even sure if it's an HD documentary. I can't remember. I don't have the date, but it came out in the early 2000s. But it looks like it was shot by a guy like me. It's like, I'm going to take my camera out and I'm going to do the interview with you. There's shots that aren't quite lit right, but it doesn't matter to me. Mm-hmm. The interviews are so good, and the content in those interviews are so good. It has me. I'll watch that anytime. So it's one thing I say about documentaries, you can't get away with that in feature film. You can't make a Marvel movie. Well, you know what? We're just going to shoot it on bad cameras and bad lighting.
Exactly. Forget the CGI. We're not going to do any of that.
In a documentary, you can, because we don't care It's always great when you can have a big, Apollo 11 or Sound City. We were talking about, it's beautifully shot and it's well done. But the thing about documentary, it really is about the content. I've watched some documentaries that were beautifully shot, beautifully lit, and I'm like, I can't watch this anymore because they're jumping around in the storyline, and they weren't good at storytelling. The guy who was in that thing, not a beautifully edited, beautifully shot documentary, but a great documentary, and that's
Super fun.
and that's what I love about that. So look that one up. So the next one you asked me about Ken Burns, and this is my last one. And again, I'll watch this anytime I can get it. I've got it on Apple. Ken Burns did a series, I think, called The American Experience, and one of the documentaries in that is called Empire of the Air, and it is, I think it's a 90-minute documentary. It's very Civil War style, like all of his stuff. It's the same kind of style and look, but it's the look at the three men who created broadcasting. And it's a fabulous story. Even as a broadcaster, I didn't know that much about it till I saw this film, and it's a great story because you get to hear the story of these three guys who were in competition. At times were together, and at times were in competition, and by the end they were all at each other's throats. But they were the guys who created AM, FM, and television, and NBC and RCA and all that. And it's a fabulous story, and it's the classic Ken Burns, where you've got the good interviews with people, you've got the amazing writing and storytelling that he does. And since it's about radio, there's a lot of sound that he uses. And one thing you keep hearing from me, and this one thing I put a big emphasis on, is sound. If you are not focusing in your media, on your television, internet, whatever you're working on the sound quality, the voiceover talent, the sound effects, the little things, it's a saying I've learned from the very first year I worked in television, is if you want to make your video look better, improve the sound. Because if you want that enhancement of the video, good, clean sound with sound effects and the proper soundtrack will make all the difference in the world. So The Empire of the Air, it's a great documentary. If you're not into radio or television, you may not get into it as much as I do, but the storytelling, and if you're like, I don't really want to watch all 80 episodes of the Civil War or baseball or something like that, then this is a one-shot documentary that you could watch if you haven't seen what Ken Burns does. And again, I'm sure if he was here, he'd say, well, it's just telling a story. It's writing and telling a story. And so those are just 5. If you got time over the holidays and you're looking for some stuff to watch, those are my personal favorites. There are great ones out there. We just watched the Bee Gees documentary. Just came out. Oh, my word. And fabulous.
Talk about a walk down memory lane, and it literally reignited for me because my mother was a huge, huge fan. Sure. And kind of reignited my love of their songs and their music because my mother played it all the time, and I went online and I went to YouTube and I just put in one of their things, and it was just one after the other, and I was like, oh my God, I'm like, this is so amazing, and I would watch that a million times over.
They did a great job on that documentary. Watch that, and it's a very powerful ending because Barry is the only one left, and he makes a very powerful statement. I won't leak it, but you need to watch it all the way through, and there's almost like a false ending at the end. So watch it all the way through. When you can walk away from a documentary and go, I feel like I got to meet these people, or I had to experience this. When you're doing a documentary on a real life and a real person and a real experience, you walk out like, I feel like I was there now. Anyway, if you have any questions or if you want to be a part of that conversation, again, you can do John at marketingmediacupcakes.com or Angel at marketingmediacupcakes.com, and we will be happy to hear and share what your thoughts are.
Because it's the time of year, and I have done this so often with, we need to take something, and I immediately go to the pantry. Now, I am one of those people that typically has a little bit of everything in their pantry. Not everybody does. But one of the first things that always comes to mind immediately for me when someone says we need to take something to share, I come up with bean dip. And when I mean a bean dip, I'm referring to the good old 7-layered that people spend outrageous amounts of money on, that are pre-made at Kroger or Costco or some other grocery store, that you could easily make yourself in very little time with, I would hope, ingredients that you have.
Now, this is a commonly called, is it what do they call it?
7-layer.
Seven. I was going to say 3-layer because I buy it on a budget.
Yeah.
No, a 7-layer dip.
7-layer dip. So there's no cooking skills here at all because nothing gets cooked.
Nothing gets cooked?
Nothing gets cooked.
Okay.
Nothing at all.
Okay.
So it's literally, and again, I've made this before when I didn't have the beans. So if you've got refried beans, that's literally the bottom. And I, again, am extra, whereas some people are not. And there are recipes all over the place for this stuff. But I will take those beans, I will take them out of the can. I will add a little bit of salsa, a little bit of taco seasoning, and some cheese. I don't heat anything. I just literally mix that up. And that's what you spread. And just a plate, a platter, if you can buy, even if you have to put it in like one of the lovely tinfoil like throwaway containers that you can buy, and that's fine too.
Because you're going to end up leaving the thing there, and you'll have to go back and see the people later.
So that's what goes on the bottom. Then it's sour cream. Now you can use just put your sour cream on. Doesn't have to have anything in it. I again will put taco seasoning in the sour cream.
Oh.
How much do you say? It doesn't matter.
So this is our second layer.
That's our second layer.
So we got refried beans.
Yep, refried
on the
beans.
Bottom.
Yep.
Sour cream with maybe some zhuzh in there.
Yes, a little bit of something.
Okay. And then
now it depends on personality. This is when I put on salsa, and this is again where you can add a little. You can either make your own if that's your talent. I've seen some people actually just use the Rotel tomatoes that have the chilies already in them. I think that doesn't have enough layer. Any salsa.
Thicker, probably a little better.
It doesn't necessarily matter, to be quite honest. I think it's personal preference, but chunkier seems to be better.
Half-inch worth on there?
It doesn't matter. It's really whatever you've got. Okay. If you've got a half a jar of salsa, spread it out. I mean, you're going to, the flavor is what you're going for.
Refried beans, sour cream with some zhuzh, salsa.
Correct.
We're up to 3.
And now here's where, so my 7-layer doesn't necessarily come to be 7 because you're now catering to taste. So the next one that's as a have to is cheese.
Of course.
So again, it's shredded is best.
Of course. Please
do not use Velveeta or something inside a plastic wrapper.
That will be
so some sort of shredded cheese. I've even made taco dip with part mozzarella because that's what I had left, and some Colby. So it's just whatever kind of shredded cheese you have. That's what's next. So that's 4. Now, this is where it can get into, I always do lettuce, and I make I do a really, really fine dice, so you don't need a lot.
Yeah.
It's about
you don't want
sprinkling,
like a big leaf showing up.
Yeah, you're not making a salad. It's just it's a presentation factor. Okay. So a little bit of that. So, and then I will, based on the audience, and if I have them, I will actually use fresh tomatoes. They're just, it's that pop of color, that little bit of red. If you have red peppers in your refrigerator, you could substitute that out. If you have green peppers, you could just something small. It's all about the size. So there is some cutting involved depending on what you're doing.
Okay.
Then the next toppers are going to be actual onion. So some people put real onion. You could put green onion. You could use
it's a dip,
purple
so
onion.
It's got to be shredded. It's got to
be small. Yeah, it's got to be something that not too big of chunks.
Yeah.
And then you have your jalapenos. If you so choose, you can use pickled jalapenos. Okay. You can use jarred, whatever you've got. Again, really small Hungarian wax peppers, John's favorite. Even pepperoncini, if you've got those fun things, you could cut those up really small. And you don't need a lot of anything when you're doing this because it's about creating that thing. The final, which some people do and some people don't, are black olives.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So some black olives
or green olives. Who cares?
The green's a little too salty. In comparison, I know you do, but it might be a bit overpowering because that's all you would taste.
Okay, so if you could yield back the balance of your time, Senator, for a second, is there any place in this that we can put a avocado?
You can most certainly put avocado on there. The only problem you're going to experience with avocado is the fact they get brown. Yeah. So if you want to, then you would cut your avocado up, and then you would definitely have to put a citrus, like either some lemon juice or some lime juice over them before you sprinkle. Gotcha. So like you would cut them up into small pieces, put them in a bowl, toss them in a little, lime juice or lemon juice, and then put them on. That retards the browning.
Okay.
more. But again, that's all you need.
Okay.
And if you don't have tortilla chips, you swing by either the grocery store or the convenience store or the gas station, grab a bag of tortilla chips, and you're on your way.
And I can take it on the way. I don't have to get it cold. It's good to go.
It's ready to roll.
That's great.
And I've made it before without beans, and I've used my base instead of cream cheese.
It sounds like if you've got everything there, you can make this in 10 minutes.
Literally, that's all
Okay.
it is. And you don't have, again, it doesn't have to be all 7 layers. That's the beauty of this kind of dip, is you can customize it to what people like. So if somebody doesn't like tomatoes, my husband, he likes salsa, he doesn't like tomatoes. Right. So you leave the tomatoes off. You've got somebody who, doesn't like black olives, then you don't put them on.
Sure.
And I've done it before where, again, I didn't have any refried beans, so I used cream cheese instead. And the cream cheese I did warm through in the microwave simply to make it spreadable. And I did add some taco seasoning to it. If you don't have taco seasoning, a little cumin, a little chili powder, garlic powder, just some, and spread that out. And then all that same stuff, still delicious. So you can make this gluten-free. You can make it dairy-free. You can't make it dairy-free.
I'm just hungry now. I want to make some of this.
Well, the next one, which is beyond simple, and you could even stop at the store on your way to the party to do this. I've seen it. It's so easy, but it's literally a brick of cream cheese on a plate, and over top of it, you put some sort of jelly or jam, and usually something not grape, not strawberry, not your basic run-of-the-mill. You get something like, and you can find this in every grocery store unless you have it in your pantry, something that's like either a hot pepper jelly, a strawberry, something that's unique. It could be, I had one that was it was a lovely little berry that I can't think of. But like you could do a blueberry or something that's just like or an apricot, something that's a little different.
Now, is this a dip?
So basically what it ends up being is it's literally the brick of cream cheese. You pour the jam or jelly over it and you serve it with crackers. And again, I remember the first time I had this at a friend's New Year's Eve party, and I was like, what is this? And they said, it's just, it's cream cheese with this. And I'm like, and it was the best thing I'd ever eaten.
The thing is, I like a good cocktail weenie every now and then, but I don't want to eat that many of them. For one thing, because I spill it everywhere.
Well, this is true.
But, this kind of stuff you're talking about, man, the 7-layer dip and this thing, I mean, and we've gotten into this little thing. We did this over Thanksgiving. We cutting up cheeses and stuff on a tray.
Oh, making a charcuterie board. So much fun.
Can't spell it, so I don't know what it is.
Well.
But, if I just love that, and more I'm beginning to like just that little simple, cut it up and just put it on a board kind of concept like you're talking about. So what's your third one?
Well, the third one I have is a dessert. And this one, so again, outside of cupcakes, and this one I've done multiple times. And what I love about this one is if you can make it big or make it small. Okay. And I have learned from making, and this is a cheesecake, but we're not making a cheesecake, we're making individual cheesecakes. And it's basically taking your good old classic muffin pan, or you can do this in minis, it's personal preference, and you can, instead of making a graham cracker crust, because maybe you don't have graham crackers, maybe you don't have whatever, you use cookies. So you use an Oreo, you can use a chocolate chip cookie, you can use a vanilla wafer, you can use any kind of cookie that is circular typically.
Right.
A Nutter Butter makes it a little bit of a challenge unless you're making something small and then you break it in half. But they've got so many minis out now, mini Oreos, you can make these small. That's your crust. You literally put that down in the bottom of your put a muffin, got to have the muffin liners. Okay. Put that cookie down in there, and then your basic, and this, when I say basic, this is your basic basic cheesecake recipe. Almost everything I've done, and I've done this now, it is a single brick of cream cheese, 1 egg, 1/4 cup of sugar, and at this point, it's kind of like a half a teaspoon of vanilla and like a little bit of salt. But if you don't want to make them vanilla, then you could certainly use some other flavoring. So if you want to make these, Maybe use a lemon Oreo or a vanilla Oreo. You could make these lemon. So use a lemon flavoring or a little bit of lemon juice.
So what do you call this dessert?
Well, it's basically they're mini cheesecakes.
Mini
So,
cheesecakes,
you know,
okay.
I've done them before where I've used the Oreo. I've just done a basic vanilla cheesecake, recipe, but then I've, added a little bit of Hershey syrup, like just a couple of drops, and made a little swirl.
Right.
And now it becomes a,
Masterpiece.
a chocolate, cheesecake, or you do a little caramel, or you add, mini chocolate chips to the actual cheesecake batter.
Yes.
They're so simple. And because that ratio that I just described, which is 1 brick of cream cheese, so it's an 8-ounce brick, 1 egg, and 1/4 cup of sugar, with then a little flavoring, which be your vanilla or something. Those go in a 350 degree oven. I think it's probably 12 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
If you're making minis,
Half
it's
an hour,
probably
you're in and out
12.
then, yeah.
They're so simple, and you can make them all plain. And that's where then again, these jams and jellies and other things,
Beautiful.
pie filling is a fantastic thing you do. So you could have cherry cheesecake.
Right.
What is cherry cheesecake? It's just the lovely cheesecake with some cherries on top. So I made a bunch of little minis one time.
You do them in the little thingies,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
So you literally just take one out and you plop a single cherry on top, which I think I'm going to make for my dooflopper on Christmas Eve.
Nice.
But they're so simple. And so again, when you think about that ratio, so if you wanted to make more, then it's 2 bricks, 2 eggs, and a half a cup of sugar. So
Well,
it's just, so we'll put this in the show
we'll
notes.
have it
I'll
in
give
the
this to John.
We'll have in the show notes. And because let's face it, networking and showing up at a client's house with the proper dessert makes an impression. If you're, and I love, whenever I can, Angel makes me cupcakes that I can take to my clients. We did that today for some clients of ours, and we do it because we like our clients, but it, she does get some business from it too. They're like, hey, could you make us this and that? But it makes a difference. Food brings us all together. So that's one thing we say in this podcast. It's like, yeah, you got to know how to communicate. You have to know your media, but you should also know how to, zhuzh it up and bring some fun food to your clients or your prospective customers or whatever. It makes an impression on them.
And then again, nothing I just described here, even if you are afraid in the kitchen, don't like the kitchen, if I need to go to the pantry, it's like, okay, what are we going to cook?
And that's what
are we going
most
to
people
have?
do. What am I going to do today? And,
Exactly.
And you don't have time, and you don't want to go to the store. Let's just make something. So this is great. So again, we'll have this in the show notes. Oh, let me give you my quick one real fast.
Yes.
So my real quick one, I just call them deadly onion things.
Yes, your
So-
deadly onion thing.
And this is, and you may have to go get something on this, but typically what my they're a little hors d'oeuvre that I used to make like 40 of them and just eat them watching documentaries. You get a pack of hard salami.
Yep.
The hard stuff. It's not the big wide bologna size. It's like hard salami, cream cheese.
Yep.
The spreadable kind. I don't know what is that, the kind, the brick.
You can get a brick, or now they have them whipped in, so either one.
Whipped is a little easier. You
Yep.
can do it faster. And then green onions.
That's it.
And this all you do is it's like making a cigar. You take the green onion, you chop the little fluffy end off, leave the white part, and you put a little cream cheese on the hard salami, and you roll that little sucker up, and it's a little hard salami cigar. And I think serve best if you can put them in the refrigerator for a while. If you can make them in the morning and take them that evening, they'll be a little bit more solid. But I love those things, and they always get consumed.
Oh, again, that's another thing, and that's one of my favorite things, pinwheels. And
Yeah.
I do pinwheels not necessarily with meat and cheese like people do as a sandwich, but I make or get a spread. So let's say you've bought, for example, a dip. Like we bought a container of artichoke, spinach artichoke dip.
Yeah.
It's got the pieces, it's got the stuff. Take yourself a flour tortilla, spread that stuff on there. Maybe add a little extra Parmesan cheese or a little something, maybe some fresh parsley if you have something fresh. Roll them up, roll that into a plastic wrap, put them in the fridge so they can kind of firm up, and then cut them. Oh my word, people lose their mind, and you're like, I literally just spread a dip on a circle
There you go.
and cut them into little things, and people think you've just
Makes
you
a big
just
impression.
invented something. So
Well,
they're not as hard as you think they are.
I hope that helps you out. We're here to help you out in everything from business to things in the kitchen. And again, you want to find our website at marketingmediacupcakes.com. We're also on social media on that same handle. And if you go to the website, though, and you can record us a message, let us know some questions you have or comments. We'd love to hear from you. We love our audience. We're also trying to add more videos to YouTube as well. So please share us with others. We are right now doing a podcast every other week because we're making them a little longer if you haven't listened in a while. And we think that's just having more, it's just allowing us to have more fun and get into more details. So if there's topics we could get into, whether it's customer service, media, marketing, or just desserts, we can talk about all of those things. So
yes.
Until next time, from our family to yours, have just a super Christmas and a great holiday season. Be safe, and we look forward to seeing you again in 2021. Keep living the dream.
Connect with John and Angel via Facebook and Instagram and let us know your thoughts. Marketing, Media, and Cupcakes is a production of Ondo Media.